What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Of course, there is Champions League action underway at the moment, and we do appreciate you coming in for a chat with us. Feel free to keep me up to date with what's going on in the two games. Just as I was coming on, it was still scoreless in the Arsenal-Real Madrid game, which is unusual because, listen to Arsenal fans, you think they'd have been 5-0 up by now. But there you go. I was watching it. It was an interesting game, actually, to be fair. Both sides creating some chances in it. Tonight, we're going to have a little talk around the news that Matheus CUNHA prefers the idea of coming to Liverpool over Manchester United and Arsenal. In fact, I can go a bit further and say this report said he wants a move to Liverpool. We're going to speak about the fact that Sky Sports seemingly want Liverpool to capitulate and this to become a title race with their new segments around, could Liverpool's grip on the Premier League title loosen? Let me answer it for you. No, it won't. We're also going to speak about Mark Guéhi, and again, him wanting a move to Liverpool over Newcastle or other clubs that are interested in him. We're going to be giving you some words from John Aldridge, who said Liverpool risk becoming a laughing stock, and I hope the players realise that. And a few other interesting bits and pieces, including some research done by the club around the issue around ticketing and stuff like that, or what are the most important topics to fans. You probably got this email today yourself if you took part in their survey. We'll be talking Jarell Quansah and Inter Milan's interest in him, and a few other bits and pieces over the course of, well, however long we're on here. So ladies and gents, do appreciate your time as always. 1-0 Inter, Mike said there. Boom, love it. So I'm just going to play a quick Surfshark ad and then we'll be back and we'll get stuck into tonight's news. So give me 65 of your Earth seconds and we'll be straight back to get into the news. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. Right, my friends, we are back and thank you once again to our sponsor Surfshark. Right, I wanted to get straight into the big topic of the day, which is Sky's, well, it's not the big topic, it's the one that's annoyed me the most today. That's probably the most honest way to discuss it. And I was reading Philip's comment in the chat saying, in fairness to Sky, if you watch this over the last 6 weeks, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Well, let's question that narrative, because if you look at the form table in the Premier League from the last 10 games, so we remove our biases and our worries and put this aside, the Premier League table looks like this if you just went from the last 10 games. Liverpool still top it with 23 points from the last 30 available, so Liverpool would still be there. Next on the list, Crystal Palace, who have 22 points from a possible 30. Then come Arsenal, who have 19 points from their possible 30. Fulham 18, Newcastle 18 and City 17. So even looking at the last 10 games, Liverpool are still head and shoulders above everybody else. So don't let these feckers get in your head. Don't let the likes of Sky and others who are speaking about this being a poor league title or Liverpool cracking. We lost one game in the league in 26. It's been 26 games and since we lost. So yeah, it sucks that we lost. And yes, Fulham were a good side and we make mistakes, but it's silliness. And anything Liverpool put up a post as well. Premier League games lost when Man City have won the league title since 2018-2019. In 18-19, Manchester City lost 4 league games. In 2021, Manchester City lost 6 league games. In 21-22, Manchester City lost 3 league games. In 22-23, 5 league games. And in 23-24, 3 league games. And so far, with 7 to go. Liverpool have lost 2 league games. So any of these narratives are just being made for clicks, to drive anger, frustration, and to try and give other people hope. So don't let it get in your head. Yes, Liverpool have had a tough month. There's no denying that. Losing in the League Cup final, going out in the Champions League, and then losing that game were difficult. But let's keep it in context, and we won't be bottling any league titles. So don't let anybody get in your heads about that. Look at our next 2 games as well, by the way. So this weekend we've got West Ham coming up at home, and then we back that up the following week with a game against Leicester away, who are in all kinds of trouble. That should be 6 points for the Reds, and that will move us so close to that Premier League title. David Coughlin, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. And there was another gentleman, Alec Carey. Welcome, Alec, to you as well. I noticed that one just before we went live. So there you go. I hope I've given you some context as to why this is all being blown out of proportion and people are starting to get worked up for no reason. We need to keep a calm head. We need to pull an Arne Slot in this situation. Right, what's this? Craig, we've had 198 corners this season in the Prem and have scored like 2 or 3. Thoughts? It's difficult to really give my thoughts on that when I don't know what comparables are, Mukrab. My initial thoughts would be that that's not enough and that we should be causing more trouble from set pieces. You know, we've got Virgil and Canade, 2 big units there. They should be causing trouble from corners. So, yeah, look, it's not great, but I don't know what the comparables are for other teams. I do think our last 4 are very tough. Next 3 games are key, said Philip. Yeah, they are. Look, I'm not sitting here trying to say there won't be some difficult games coming up. Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, Brighton, difficult enough games. But again, everybody worked under this mad assumption that Arsenal are going to go and keep winning and keep winning. Well, look at the last 10 games. We've increased the gap over Arsenal by 4 points in the last 10. Not decreased it, not had a wobble, increased it by 4 points. They just want Arsenal to win the league, said Anthony. It definitely feels that way, mate. I mean, they've done a whole segment today on Arsenal and Liverpool, and the segment was titled, "Could Liverpool lose their grip on the Premier League title lead?" And then they brought up the games that both sides have to play. And it just feels like desperation. And I kind of understand it. They're a broadcaster. They show Premier League games. They want to keep the interest in it. And ironically, myself and Connor were discussing earlier on, and for us right now, it feels like a really quiet time of the season where interest around Liverpool seems to be a kind of minimum, because we're in this weird period where the league title will come, but until then we're just kind of going through the motions each week, and there's no other competitions to get excited about. It's a little bit too early to really get excited about transfers. So each day we try to bring you some fresh twists on stories as well to keep everybody up to date and entertained. Right, let's get stuck into some news though. So let's start with John Aldridge. I mentioned the headline on one of his pieces where Liverpool is risking becoming a laughingstock, and I hope players realise that. A little bit more from this, and one of the quotes in it is, "I wonder if teams and managers have got to grips with the way that Arne Slot plays. It's a possibility. He's not rotating much and knows the players more, but teams are mixing it up against us. They look fresh, are harder to predict, and we're struggling a little bit." I think there's some sense to what John Aldridge says there. And if you look at Marco Silva and the way that Jamie Carragher covered the fact that they were almost forcing Van Dijk onto his left foot when he was making clearances to make it more difficult and to try and close down the space. And if you look at the way Newcastle played against us and got after us, as well as Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, there does seem to have been a change to approach to how to play against us. The teams are now pressing us higher up the pitch and trying to condense us in. So we need to figure out a way around that. And this long ball nonsense isn't working for us. It's just turning over possession too quickly. So we need to figure all of that out as well. ESPN SoccerNet recently wrote an article that asked, has Virgil van Dijk lost the step? The answer to that, in my opinion, is no. He hasn't lost the step. But it's what's in and around him, I think. If I'm being honest about it, I'm starting to have my own concerns around some other bits and pieces. But let's talk about Jarell Quansah. So last night, kind of ironically, I'd said to you guys, you know, we had the conversation asking, do you think Arne Slot maybe has lost confidence or doesn't trust Jarell Quansah? And a lot of you guys say, yes, we had that vote last night. I think about 2/3 or 3/4 of people said that they do think maybe he's lost a bit of belief in him. And that kind of backs up and tallies with a story that I read earlier on. And Frank Leboeuf, former Chelsea player, now working with ESPN, I think, said about Quansah not being utilised at right back or being used by the manager. He said, if I'm Quansah, what do you think? I have to put Jones at right back when you take CUNHA out? I don't know. Somebody else in the middle of the park and you keep Quansah on the bench. Something is wrong with the coach. Questioning his decision around Quansah. Then that was backed up with a story that suggested that Inter Milan were interested in Jarell Quansah. A piece from Sport Witness and Spazio Inter said that Liverpool could reportedly consider selling Jarell Quansah in the summer, but the transfer fee mentioned was a joke. £17 million. Now there's no way that Liverpool are going to sell Jarell Quansah for £17 million. But I am starting to wonder, if the right offer came in, would Arne Slot listen for Quansah? Now look, initially we're all scared, right? We're all going, no, Craig, we need to bring in centre-backs and we won't get them. I get that. But I'm not fully convinced either by Quansah. And if we could get 40 or 50 million for him and go out and bring in somebody who the manager trusts, I wouldn't be against that either. Joshua said Arsenal are actually playing well against Real Madrid tonight. Well, how many goals ahead are they? Because if they don't take at least 2 to the Bernabeu, they ain't going through. And, you know, I think I've seen Real Madrid miss 2 decent chances in their first half as well. Oh, there was a super chat I missed. 1 second from Mr. Roberticus. Bought our tickets for the 25th of May show today. Nice. Appreciate that, my man. Thank you. I actually have no idea how that particular show is selling because I don't get an update for that one yet. But the other one on the 28th has, well, it slowed down a bit, to be honest, because of the 25th show. But I can't wait, mate. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day. And thank you for getting the tickets sorted out. Looking forward to you both coming. Jonesy Lad said, I'm sensing a proper performance at the weekend. Look, it's almost like a tailor-made game for us because we've played them twice this season. I think we averaged, or an aggregate score of 10-1 or something like that. There was a 5-1 and a 5-0. So you're hoping that this should be a game that Liverpool can take care of business relatively easy and then back that up with what should be a comfortable away win at Leicester. So let's talk about Jurgen Klopp for a moment because James Pearce of The Athletic confirmed today that Jurgen Klopp may well attend the final game of the season, which is against Crystal Palace, and that there is an open invitation from Arne Slot welcoming our former gaffer. And look, it'd be lovely if Kloppo was there. He did say he'd be in and around the city for the parade anyway, so keep your eyes peeled. If you're going to Anfield that day, you may spot a certain Jurgen Norbert Klopp in the stadium. Paul, how are you, bro? Said CUNHA or Delap, don't think 20 million difference really. Both. If Delap is involved in any conversation for me, Paul, it has to be along with another attacker. I wouldn't feel comfortable if he was brought in to replace Darwin. But if he brought me him and CUNHA, or him and Ketika, or him and Chesko, or him and AN other to replace Diogo Jota and Darwin, then I'm far more open to it, Paul. What about yourself? Let me know what you think. So let's move on to Mark Guéhi and that story. Because The Athletic reported that Mark Guéhi's price tag is set to be lower given his contract situation this summer. Now, Football Insider claimed that Guéhi wants to join the club, the ilk of Liverpool, and is not keen on a switch to Newcastle. Now, you may remember that Newcastle put in a big bid for him previously. I think it was about 75 or 80 million quid, if my memory's right. And it was rebuffed by Palace. He has 1 year to go, I think, at the end of this year on his Crystal Palace contract. So they may be looking to, well, cash in or risk losing them for free. So let's see what happens there. But again, you see a player who is unsure about a move to Newcastle, but wants a move to a club somewhere along the size of Liverpool, which I don't blame him. Harry said Cunha, Nkapie, Kirkes and a right back and Stefan as Ryan backup. Dream transfer window for me. I think Kwanzaa is a quality youngster. I think he is the future. So, again, my question back, Harry, about Kwanzaa is, it's not really about my opinion here or your opinion or somebody else's opinion. It only comes down to what the manager thinks. And if the manager doesn't trust them, and look, again, I don't know if he does or doesn't, but there seems to be a conversation about this now, then what's the point? You know, if for me, being blunt about it, if we could get 50 million or 40 million for Kwanzaa and you could go out there and bring in Dean Huyson, like, I would much prefer that and that money spent than keeping Kwanzaa, in all honesty. If you wanted Nkapie, let's say, as an example, then again, I think Liverpool should realistically try to find a left-footed left centre-back / left back, because that is something we just don't have at the club, is a left-footed, left-sided centre-back. Virgil obviously plays there but uses his right foot. So yeah, I get what you're saying, but look, much like Elliott, you know, you and I would probably like him, other Liverpool fans certainly like him, but the manager, again, doesn't seem to want to give him opportunity. Same with Federico Chiesa. So this story here from Football Insider around Matheus Cunha said that Matheus Cunha's preference and his want is to join Liverpool this summer. But there's also interest from Arsenal and Manchester United. But the player himself wants to come to Liverpool. I could see him in a Bobby Firmino type role for us. Now, hear me out. Sell Diogo Jota, sell Darwin Núñez, and bring in Cunha and Delap. Honestly, I'd take that. I'm going to ask everybody else via a poll, but I'd take that option right now. Let's say you got the money for Darwin and it more than or pretty much covered Cunha's fee, let's say. And then you got 40 million pound for Jota and it covered Delap. I'm taking that. And I'm saying that that's realistic, good business that would allow us to spend proper money then. Right back, centre back, left back. So, for me, that would be yes. But I'm going to ask you guys what you think. Really quickly on this one, not that I've seen with Liverpool anyway, David. Now, I also wouldn't take him at Liverpool, to be honest with you. But no, I've not seen anything linking him with a move to Liverpool. He's the guy from Leverkusen, isn't he? Guirassy. I know he plays in the Bundesliga. It's either Leverkusen or Dortmund. I think it's Leverkusen. Right, so let's ask this poll. 1 second. Right, so would you trade Jota and Núñez for Cunha and Delap? Yay or nay? We'll let that poll run in the background for a while. It is Dortmund, is it? Dortmund. Was he at Leverkusen before that? No. Yeah, I knew he was in Bundesliga. I always see his name come up on live score with some goals and stuff, but I couldn't remember whether it was Dortmund or Leverkusen he was at. Right, what have we got? Delap with quality, homegrown player. Yeah, I'm probably not too far away from being internationally capped either, in all honesty. I want to talk about the ticketing or the topics of importance that came up in this Liverpool fan survey as well. I wanted to go through some of these answers with you guys a little bit later on. And we've also got the officials that have been confirmed for the game against West Ham this weekend. I know a lot of people are interested to know who's the referee and whatnot. So the referee for the game against West Ham this weekend is Andy Madley. His assistants are Scott Ledger and Matt Wilkes. The fourth official, Tony Harrington. The VAR for the game is John Brooks. And the assistant VAR is Steve Meredith. So again, it's a 2 p.m. kickoff against West Ham on Sunday. Stuttgart. Yes. Was it Stuttgart before? That makes sense. I knew he was somewhere else in the Bundesliga. But yeah, I think you're right on Stuttgart. Philip McWilliam said, Delap has serious potential. I've said before, he reminds me of a young Harry Kane. He reminds me of a young Jamie Vardy, personally. His movement and the way he goes about it, he got that Jamie Vardy fighting spirit in him. And look, I'd be open to Delap at Liverpool, but not on his own. I would want another attacker brought in as well. Muckrab said, a lot of fans are being daft. We don't have 10 realistic options for strikers. We have 3. There isn't that many yet. You know, if you look around the world right now, realistically, we're probably talking Ekitike, CUNHA, Sesko, David. I can't really think. We could do Isak and the kid from Atleti, Julian Alvarez, but they're not realistic because clubs don't want to sell. So outside of those two, you know, there aren't really a whole host of options. Delap, again, another one being thrown in. What's your email, Craig? It's contact@AnfieldAgenda.com, Dylan. Contact@AnfieldAgenda.com. That's if you want me. If you're ever looking for Connor or it's a business thing, then partnerships@AnfieldAgenda.com. But for me, it's contact@AnfieldAgenda.com. Wesley, how are you, Wesley? Said, I rate them both. They each have their own talents and specialities. I'd make that swap. CH6059 said, do you think we need a better playmaker than Szoboszlai? Good question. My thought process wouldn't be to upgrade Szoboszlai. It would be that if indeed we do sell Elliott, to use that squad space and money to bring in that creative, attack-minded midfield player. So I guess, does the squad need it? Yes. But necessarily, does that have to be Szoboszlai? Well, he could do a bit more in the final third. I don't think many people would disagree with that statement. But I wouldn't be looking to move Dom on. I really rate Dom. Adam Lallana has taken over temporary manager role at Southampton. I believe he's one of 2 that are taking over the role, if I'm not mistaken, Mark. Arsenal fans singing LA LA. Yeah, what do they sing for the part where we've conquered all of... What have they conquered? Because it isn't Europe. Adam said, in my opinion, you won't find another player in world football that will run as much as Dom. Yeah, the energy that we get from Dom and Jones are top notch. And then you've got McAllister in there who gets to a load of work as well. CUNHA and Wirtz for the price of Isak, would you take that? I would, but you're talking about a lot of clubs. So there's articles doing the rounds today, and I'm sure you've seen them, that say that Manchester City are looking at Florian Wirtz as an alternative to replace Kevin De Bruyne. They also mentioned the kid from Notts Forest as well, but realistically I do think there's going to be a battle for Florian Wirtz's signature this summer. Now, can we finally rule Real Madrid out of that race? Well, they don't have space in attack, do they? So you've got to say yes, probably. So after that, Bayern will be in the mix, I'm sure. Manchester City will be there. But hand on heart, I've not seen Liverpool's name really mentioned with Florian Wirtz. They've conquered second place for a few seasons. Yep. And the Community Shield. They've conquered that twice. The trophy that nobody else counts except Arteta. I feel Dom has a high ceiling, will go up another level. He does, and he's still young, right? Dominic Szoboszlai is still young. So the world hasn't seen the best of Dom yet. One name that's kind of done the rounds a little bit that interests me to know if there's real desire there is Arda Güler. His name has been thrown around with Liverpool a bit. But again, I'm going to come back to, he seems like he's enjoying life at Madrid. we don't really go in and buy players from Madrid. So every time we're linked with one of their players, I always take it with a massive pinch of salt. But Arda Güler is one of those names that has been mentioned. Tanya said Stiller, Delap, Sesko/CUNHA, Kirkes, Haddo, or Gain Huysen. Yes, sign me up, Tanya. That'll do. That'd be a window that I'd be very happy with, in all honesty, Tanya. And I'd say most of the chat probably would be. So Angelo Stiller, Liam Delap, Benjamin Sesko, Matheus Cunha, Milos Kirkes, Jarell Haddo, Mark Gay, and Dean Huysen. Yeah, I wouldn't have many complaints about any of the names on that list. Don't Soboslai and Güler have beef? Yeah, but it's football beef, you know. There's no drive-bys happening around, mate. It's just a bit of a clash on international scene, but you know, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world. Favorite chipper, King Cod. King Cod would probably be the one, and Marcellus is another one here that's nice, but King Cod. CH6059 said, I want Gittins and Frimpong. The Frimpong one kind of does make me chuckle a bit, because I understand why people would like him, but he's just so far removed from the type of right back we need. But on Gittins, let's talk about Gittins actually, because there's a story today from Caught Offside who say that Liverpool have already started talks to sign Jamie Gittins. Now, his price tag looks like it's come down from €100 million down to 60 or 70 million because his form wasn't great in the second part of the season. So you can say that we've certainly looked, but this Caught Offside reckon that we've started talks already. So believe that or not, but there you go. Where was this other one I wanted to bring to your attention? There's a story that suggests Liverpool could make a move for Jared Bowen as well, which is a little bit nuts considering he's 28 and would cost a pretty penny. But I think it was a former Blackburn scout, said the chance to play for Liverpool would appeal to any player. It's an opportunity to win trophies and play at the highest level. Bowen's happy at West Ham. He's very highly thought of there, and he's getting in the England squad, so I don't expect him to force a move through or anything like that. But if he didn't want to make a move which would boost his career, I'd be very surprised. A footballer's career is very short. You've got to make the best of your opportunities, so I think he'd be open to a move to Liverpool if it comes. But first, it would have to be an offer which the club deem acceptable. What the price will be, I'm not sure, but it won't come cheap. And that's where you can rule Liverpool out. When it doesn't come cheap, that's where you can say, no, Liverpool won't be there. And Liverpool wouldn't pay what it would take to get Bowen out. And his age would definitely count against him. 2-3 years ago, this was a conversation I would have been incredibly excited to be having, but I just can't see it now. So that one. Right, let's talk Diogo for a second. According to Empire of the Cop, Liverpool have set an asking price between, well, they say 50 and 55 million euro, so let's call it 40 and 45 million pound for Diogo Jota. The Portuguese striker has struggled with injury throughout his Liverpool career and has been sidelined throughout the Arne Slot debut season. It's said that Wolves, Aston Villa and Newcastle are all interested in the 28-year-old. They claim that Liverpool and Jota's former club Wolves are considering a loan move, although the Reds would prefer a permanent move. Look, I'm going to say this for you. If Liverpool loan out Jota, they're idiots. Simple as that. How could we afford to loan out a 28-year-old striker when we're already looking for more strikers? If you want to sell him, I'm on board for that. But loaning him out would be the height of stupidity. But if somebody pays £45 million for Diogo Jota, honestly, I'm saying thank you for your service, Diogo. All the best, mate, moving forward. But that would be a number I think Liverpool should accept. He's 28. He's had injuries. And if you could trade him for a Delap, I think it's worth the punt. Barry, how are you, sir? Appreciate you. Barry, I wanted to say something to you, mate. I don't know what part of the UK you're in, and I don't know what your situation is, but if you wanted to come to one of our 2 live shows, mate, we'd love to send you a couple of tickets on us as well. because we'd love to come along and meet you and say hello. So if that is something that you're ever up for, Barry, or anything like that, just drop me an email or a message and I'll sort the tickets out for you. It's actually my wife that said it to me the other day. She said, "Are you going to meet Barry? Is he coming over to the show?" I said, "I don't think so, but I'll ask." Anyway, to get to your comment. Craig, Gravenberch's season stats clearly show his progressive passes and carries have massively dropped. He's been uber pressed now, and without Trent or without TTA, we've struggled to progress the ball, hoofing upfield too much. Bradley back, huge. Bradley's going to make a huge difference. And I was again saying this to Connor Barry earlier on, that I think you're going to see a very different Liverpool when Bradley starts the game against West Ham on Sunday. A game that I think will be far more aggressive in. So I don't know what's caused some of the drop off for Gravenberch, whether it is that he is being pressed more, whether it is that he's fatigued more, I don't know. But again, we come back to the conversation about not having a realistic option. Oh, Rice makes a 1-0 Arsenal. Interesting. There you go. Rice free kick, 1-0 Arsenal. They need at least 1 goal lead to take over to Madrid. So fair play. Yeah, if they've gone 1-0 up, fair play to them. You're in Oxford, Barry. Well, if you want to come up, man, honestly, be my pleasure. Spend some time, say hello, have a drink or whatever, and chat footy with you, man. And look, the tickets are on me if you ever want to make the trip up. Fair play, you know. If Arsenal can take a lead to Madrid, fair play to them. And look, I'm not a hater. You know, we got knocked out. It is what it is. But Arsenal have certainly given themselves a good chance there. That's what happens, by the way, FSG, when you're willing to cough up 100 odd million for a top-notch midfielder. Just in case you're wondering, you know. Bradley looked brilliant when he came on against Fulham. Great assist, said Martin. Yeah, he looked really good. And I love those driving runs of his. I hope our owners are watching. Because sometimes when you pay for quality in big moments, like Rice there, big players, big moments, they step up, and fair play to them. Would I take Endrick? I think he's worth the gamble. No, he seems like a bit of a diva to me, and he has a weird attitude and a weird desire to go around kicking people when things don't go his way. But I had seen Endrick link with a move to the Prem, but I can't remember what club it was now. Yeah, I can't remember. I want to say it was Arsenal or it was Chelsea, but I honestly can't remember. Yeah, Muckrab, I honestly, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of them. Right, let's check in on this poll anyway. So, keep voting away if you haven't. It's only been up 14 minutes, but the question is, would you trade Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez for Matheus Cunha and Liam Delap? Let us know. Vote away. We'll leave that running. Mark Baldwin said, the owners won't spend big. Lucky if we get 100 mil to spend. Again, we're going to make sure that we try to hold the owners to account this summer, and we're going to run the net spendometer throughout the summer to keep you informed with how that net spend is going. Now, I'll be honest with you. If you use the example I've given you in the chat there, that would be a situation where we probably wouldn't have to spend a lot net to make the deal that I've put up there happen, but we would be improving the team. So I'm not about spending money just for the sake of spending money. It has to be spent to the right players in the right areas, and there's nothing wrong with getting good money for one player and using that for another player. But even allowing for all the trade-offs, we still have 2 or 3 positions that were deficient in the squad that we need to just bring a body in for. So as an example, if everybody stayed at the club right now, I still think we need another centre-back. But if we were to move a centre-back on, I would argue we need 2 centre-backs. Do you think we will get Gittins? No, because I don't think the analytics would stand up to the scrutiny of the way Edwards would look at it and Hughes. And I don't think they'd see value in the player. So no, I don't expect Liverpool to be looking at Gittins, because I don't think he's going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? A hidden diamond. Liverpool will look for value and underappreciated talent. And I just don't think that Gittins will be that person, because, well, his name's been spoken about a lot. So I think he'll end up paying pretty decent fee there. We should have been playing today, absolutely fuming. Well, technically it would have been tomorrow against Aston Villa, but I get where you're coming from, mate. Yeah, it sucks. Even today, like, just getting up knowing it's Champions League week and we have no interest in it, it definitely does sting a little, my friend. Jason said, can't wait to celebrate with you all in May. Likewise, my man. Thank you. It's going to be brilliant. I can't wait. Just counting down the weeks now till the Reds get the job done, and hopefully we can start that process against West Ham. Paro said, Craig, I've had a big think about our attack today. I think paying 40 million for Kane would be a better suit to Delap. We'd get a known finisher and it'll give us time to let Isak and Alvarez drop. Well, firstly, Kane's clause is 50, so there's already an extra 10 million on there. And it just wouldn't be prudent. It's too short-term thinking to bring in Kane. Honestly, what has Kane got left at the top level? 2 to 3 years? At the very, very top, before we start reinventing him and looking and playing him in a different way. I just don't think it's the right fit, and I just think it'd be money poorly spent. It's a very Manchester United, Alex Ferguson type thing to do when they could bully people with their financial power. I just don't think for us it would be an astute piece of business. And Kane has some injuries as well these years. Neil Caldwell said, can't understand this drop-off every season now. So what gets me about it this year, Neil, and look, I guess we can argue about how much of a drop-off there is, but what gets me about it this year was the whole point of the way that we were playing and the fact that we were less gung-ho, less attritional than before, was to save legs for the second half of the season. But yeah, we've got there. And yeah, you could argue maybe injuries have been prevented a bit. I think there's some fairness to that. But have we looked less fatigued? No, we haven't. Same time, same headaches, same complaints from fans. And again, no options. No options for the manager to change it up. So I agree with you, but for maybe a slightly different reason. Kane's wages would be daft too, said Jonesy lad. Yeah, that's another fair shout. So when you think about Liverpool making moves, think about it this way. You want a young, hungry player who's willing to come in and prove his worth to get a better payday. They're kind of prerequisites for the way Liverpool do business. Occasionally, you're going to get a Virgil van Dijk or somebody who, yeah, you'll drop a load of dough on and bring in on a very high wage, but they're few and far between. A. Michael said, hi Craig, I hope you're well, mate. I would like to see Guevara Reed to back up Bradley, Hoyson and Haddo in to rotate with Canade and VVD, Kirkes in Robbo backup, and Cherky, Cunha, Sesko, Delap in midfield too. There's a lot of business done there, mate. Looks, a lot of the names are ones that have certainly been in conversations around Liverpool, and whether that's realistic or not, I guess time will tell. Actually, hang on one second. Where was this lad? Bear with me, sorry. Swear I'm missing some of my own stories here. Sorry, I'm missing a story and it's doing my head in because I wanted to talk about right back. Oh yeah, here we go. So, there's been a report today around another right back that Liverpool are apparently interested in. I'll get to it in one sec. Just let me get Nick's super chat up. I want a youth overhaul. No need to sign old lads. I don't expect us to sign old lads, to be honest, Nick, my man. I think Edwards usually shows that the way that we play and the physicality demanded needs younger legs. So I think he'll be happy in that sense anyway, Nick. I do expect there to be younger players coming in. So look, I wanted to get this up, and then Mohammed, my friend, I'll get to your super chat, so don't worry, mate. I haven't forgotten, but bear with me. So this piece here said, Alexander-Arnold potential replacement identified as Liverpool are in contact. Team Talk claims that Liverpool have identified 22-year-old Freiburg right-back Kylian Sedilia as a potential summer transfer target. Now, we spoke about the kid from one of the Spanish clubs, the Romanian gentleman the other day, who was, I think, 26, 27. But this one here said Freiburg's right-back Kylian Sedilia is regarded by Liverpool as a potential summer target. It goes on to say he's got 15 months left on his current contract and could potentially be available for just £12 million. And Roberto De Zerbi is also said to be admirer looking to try and bring him to Marseille last summer. So, anybody watch Freiburg that knows much on this lad? 22 years of age. So if he was to come in and compete with Bradley age-wise, then we'd have two good young options. But again, I don't know much about him, so I couldn't possibly give you an opinion on whether he'd be good enough or not. So if you want to search his name again, it's Killian, spelled Killian, Sedilia, spelled Sildillia. So Sildillia, Sildelia. Right, Mohammed. I actually think that there are changes that the manager can make to give some players a rest, but he doesn't want to, unfortunately. Oh, there definitely are, Mohammed. 100% agree, bro. Straight away there, you're thinking you could give Endo a shot in one of the games and give Gravenberch a rest, or Elliott in midfield. You could definitely give him an opportunity. Jones and Szoboszlai you could interchange. So I agree, but he seems unwilling to for various reasons, whether it be trust or I don't know. But yeah, you're right, there are options, but not enough options. Would I rather Hugo or Cunha? So I don't know enough about Akitika to really have a fair answer. A month ago, maybe a bit longer, I'd have said no to Cunha, but then somebody pointed out to me the particular style of the way he plays number 9, and I watched them back with different eyes then, and I could see him in a Firmino-esque type role. But that type role would need wide, fast players out wide to make use of some of that space that he could create. And again, the goal he scored against us was an impressive one as well for Wolves. Barry, how are you, sir? Kelleher's stats show he's excellent distributing up to 30 yards, 100% in the Prem, but he's much worse than Ali kicking it long. Think a lot of analysts being all over pressing Gravenberch and making Queevy and Kelleher kick it longer to disrupt us more. It's a good shout, Barry. I mean, oh, it's 2-0 now. Oh, wow, fair play. That's incredible. Another free kick. Full credit, you know. And by the way, this is what will differentiate us with AFTV or anybody else, is I'll sit here and say well done to Arsenal. 2 worldy free kicks. Look, if they can hold that out, fair play to them. They have an excellent chance at semi-finals if they hold this out. Credit where it's due. Everybody said, including me, you need to be beaten them by at least 2 and taking that to Madrid. And so far, as you guys are sitting here right now talking to me, it's 2-0. So absolutely fair play to them. But to get back to your comment, Barry, that's a good shout. But when I read that out, mate, my mind initially went to thinking, well, what about Georgi Mamardashvili? So we know what Alisson can do, but Mamardashvili is certainly not known for his distribution. You know, he's a big keeper, a commanding keeper, good in one-on-ones and stuff, but I do like what you've said there, mate. I'm going to look into that a little bit more, Barry. Great show. Jason said, I just wonder why Arne has so little faith in Chiesa. He'll never admit to that, but his pecking order speaks louder than words. My guess, Jason, and of course it is a guess because I don't know the actual situation, is that he was an Edwards or Hughes signing and the manager's trying to make a point. And sometimes, like, I'm a really stubborn person in life, and sometimes I can absolutely cut my nose off to spite my face, and it's to my own detriment on occasion. So sometimes I'll back down, sometimes I won't. But in this situation, that's all I can think of, is that it was a signing that was not under Arne Slot's remit, and he's just refusing to play him. And I think it's wrong if that's the case, but either way, whatever the reason he's not playing, I think it's wrong. And I think most Liverpool fans feel that he deserves more of a chance, and at least looks hungry and determined when he does come on. Right, so Mark's just sent me on something. Thank you very much, Mark. Said Liverpool will consider a move to sign Braga defender Siko Niakate if they end up losing Ibrahima Konate, who's wanted by PSG. And that comes in from Africa Foot. Interesting one. Don't know what about him. Yeah, again, not going to sit here and claim I watch much of Braga, so no idea. But it's an interesting one. Appreciate you sending it on, Mark. Thank you. God, there's so many links, isn't there? At the minute, like, for so many scenarios. So, genuine question for you. Let's say Arsenal managed to find a way to get past Madrid over the two legs and book their place in the semis. Do you think that they could beat Paris Saint-Germain if PSG get past Aston Villa? Because the second leg would be in France, and PSG, you've seen what they did with and to us, so genuine. But look, I'm going to say this to be fair, 100%. If Arsenal knock out Real Madrid, their fans and them have every right to believe they can win the competition. Because if you knock out Madrid over two legs, you know, that is enough to say you should feel like you can win the competition. Because we know Madrid are a machine in this competition. We know that they've won it a ridiculous amount of times, even allowing for the first 5 in a row, whatever it was. So I'm not going to be a hater if they beat Real Madrid over two legs. I think their fans should have every right to start dreaming. But I wonder, will they do what we did? And I underestimated PSG, so I feel comfortable in saying that. I wonder if Arsenal fans will think that that's it now. Once they get past Madrid, they're there. But I hope they don't underestimate. 3-0. Oh my God. Wow. Holy shit. That's extraordinary for Arsenal. Wow. I'm going to message Lee Gunner right now. 1 second. Holy shit, Lee. 3-0 at home against Madrid. See this out and you should be through, my man. Fair play. We're talking about it in our live chat right now. 2 Declan Rice screamers, now Mikel Merino. Dude, congratulations. That's an incredible scoreline. A. Michael said, Sedilia would be a great investment for Liverpool. Quick, skillful, great attacker. Attacker? He's a centre-back. Very strong on the ball, confident on the ball. They have him down as a centre-back. So, they're talking about him being a replacement for Konate. So, one second. That's nuts. Honestly, that is nuts for Arsenal. 3-0. Are you watching Trenty Poo? Wow. I'm just going to look back over this story again. Bear with me. Liverpool will consider a move to sign Braga defender Sikau Akate. Are we talking someone different here? Hang on, I've got myself mixed up. Oh, you're talking about Sedilia. Sorry, Michael. That's on me, my friend. Sorry. I initially went back to the guy Mark was talking about. Sorry, bro. Sorry. That's my fault, folks. I got myself confused there. Sedilia is the right back. Sorry, mate. You're right. From Freiburg. My apologies. And then thank you again for the update. Yeah, you're talking about the right back, Kylian Sedilia. Yeah, fair play. Real Madrid look shell-shocked. That's no Prime Madrid. 11 goals conceded in 4. Wow. This guy's the right back. Sorry. Again, my apology for confusing people on that one. And hey, Michael, thank you, mate. Jeremy, so we need another long-distance shooter who can score free kicks. I'm about to propose to my girlfriend on Friday. Can I ask her on your live? Yeah, but how's that going to work, Jack? How do we... Do you want me to ask her for you? If you want me to ask her for you, I'll ask her. If she's watching. But, man, of course, if we can be involved in any way, absolutely, Jack. Let us know how we can help. CH6059 said, hey Craig, how busy a summer do you see it being? And do you see anyone coming in during the mini window? Yeah, the mini window is actually something that I've been thinking about and asked about quite a bit. Whether it be emails or just in chat. Truth is, I don't know. I'd like us to get some business done. I think you can make a maximum of 2 signings in that initial 10-day mini window. But then there's only 6 days where the window's closed and it reopens again. So how many signings, I think, may depend on how many move on. So, you know, if it's 1 out, 1 in, I still think we need another 2 or 3 after those. I'm going to say 5 to 6 signings and maybe 4 out is probably what I'd expect or think. Am I married? Absolutely. Myself and Sabrina have been together 25 years this year, and we're married since 2007. So what's that, 18 years married? So yeah, married, 2 kids. Our daughter turns 21 next month. Our son is 13. So yeah, we're together 25 years, my man. Pyro said Kirkes and Huyson bundle deal in the mini window would work wonders with Edwards. Well, actually, there was talk of a Liverpool double Bournemouth mini deal, but it wasn't Huyson. It was actually Semenyo whose name was mentioned along with Kirkes. I'm just in shock here, honestly, at that scoreline from the Arsenal game. That's crazy. Right, let's have a look at the poll. Have we got 1,000 votes yet? Yep, we have. So we asked, would you trade Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez for Matheus Cunha and Liam Delap? And 78%, 77, 78, it's gone down to 77, said yes, that they would. And I would be in that 77% as well. I would swap those 2 for those 2. So again, would you swap Jota Núñez for Cunha and Delap? Yes, 77%, no, 23%. Even just reading out your comment there, Mark, 10 minutes to go and it's Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. That's one hell of a result if they can hang on in there. Look, even if they conceded 1 now, they're still in a really, really good position. So fair play to them. Yeah, we do need to get the likes up, by the way, folks. So please do hit that like button if you can. Help us get it up to the 500-ish mark. Muckrab said Craig Semenyo is shite. He scored 7 from 112. He's not shy. That's just bollocks. Sorry, man, but that is. I'm not saying he's good enough or he's brilliant, but he isn't shite. Just watching him, and I can see that he's not. You know, I'm not saying his goal return is good enough, but he definitely is a physically strong, powerful runner who worries defences, is a handful. Again, I'm not saying whether he's Liverpool standard or not, mate, but he's definitely not the word you use to describe him. Jeremy said we're at the point that Jota and Darwin have likely peaked. Jesus, if there was any Darwin peak there, then Jota's 28. So look, I do think 28 and starting to have injury concerns, or always having injury concerns throughout the season, I definitely think you could move him on if you got the right few quid in. Pyro said we can't afford to take Semenyo, if I'm honest. His best number season is... Look, he wouldn't be on my list, by the way. Let me say that. I'm just telling you what's been written. His best number season is this season. He only has 11. We struggle as it is with goal-scoring issues without Mo. Adding another Diaz isn't it. I would agree. And I don't think he has enough pedigree to come to Liverpool either. So I'm in agreement that he isn't the solution. Because for me, the solution should be a younger, trickier wide player who can maybe shift across both sides. Craig, when I buy you stuff for merchandise, and where do I get the discount? So if you look on the membership tab on the YouTube channel, there's a post there with the code that you will only see if you're a member, to get that 10% off. So just look at the membership tab of the YouTube channel and you'll see a code there that only members can see, and use that to get that 10% discount. And thank you, my man. If you've any questions or you don't see it, Michael, send me an email. I'll send you the code, mate. No probs. I know you're a member, so no problem. Oh, Bayern have equalised as well against Inter. Well, look, the final is in Madrid, or excuse me, at the Allianz in Munich. So, you know, it was set up there for Bayern to try and push their way to the final. But going over to Inter is going to be a tough one as well. Martin Aston, how are you, Martin? Said, I think Jota lacks pace and can't hold the ball up, and he has lost his shooting boots. So 100% I agree with you on the lack of pace and the lack of being able to hold the ball up. Also, he doesn't have the aerial prowess up top to be able to hold the line or do what we've needed, which is put balls in behind fullbacks and turn them. He doesn't have the pace for any of that. So that's why I've been very confused why we've been putting Jota and not Chiesa or somebody up top. It doesn't make sense to me. Where are you, Muckrab? Craig, I definitely prefer Mbeumo over Semenyo. Thoughts? 100% agree, sir. 100%. I'm a fan of Brian Mbeumo, and he's my... I would go as far as to say he's my new Jared Bowen. When I always wanted Bowen, going back 3-4 years ago at Liverpool, because I could see such a good stylistic fit, work rate, and he's just the type of player that Liverpool fans would love. Brian Mbeumo would be the very same. I would be hugely happy if Liverpool signed him. And definitely agree with you that I'd prefer him over Semenyo. Paro, have a good one, my man. We'll talk soon. Heavy Metal D said Mbeumo would fit so well, but what would the price tag be from? A lot. And Thomas Frank has mentioned this quite bluntly. I think he's a £60 million player easily, Mbeumo. I would have no qualms about if Liverpool paid that, but would that get him out of Brentford? I don't know. In Mbeumo and Bowen, they just both always look to me like players that you could drop into our system and they seamlessly fit. And yet, Monkstown Glass, Bowen does work extremely hard. The Bowen thing now though is his age, you know. He's getting too old to justify a big price tag. Madrid have been absolutely woeful tonight. Said, no, man, look, give Arsenal their credit. You know, I wouldn't want anyone taking it away from us if we beat Madrid 3-0. I wouldn't want anybody telling me Madrid were crap. So, you know, I'm not going to be that guy. Fair play to Arsenal. And if Villa do it tomorrow night, fair play to Villa as well. You know, it is what it is. We lost the right this season to have a say in the Champions League. So if Arsenal and Villa can push on, fair play to them. Oh, Inter have now gone back ahead against Bayern. So it's now Bayern Munich 1, Inter Milan 2. We should be in the closing stages of that one, I would reckon, as well. I'm still shocked at that scoreline, lads, honestly. That's nuts. It's mad how often a gluttony of goals just comes in one half or second half of a game, isn't it? Like 0-0 at half time. Both sides had chances. And I think at half time, if you said to me, Craig, this is going to be 3-0 Arsenal at the end of it, I would have said to you. Actually, if you said it was going to be 3-0 to either side at the end of it, I would have told you were nuts. But you know what? That's gonna rattle the Madrid faithful. That is 3-0. I mean, the handkerchiefs will be out at the Bernabeu. Watch the free kicks back after the stream. Oh, I definitely will, Mark. 100%. You know, give them, look, yeah, genuinely credit them. I think they're true now. I think Arsenal are too... what's what I'm looking for? They're not naive. I think Arsenal will have the nous to go over there and not concede 3. I think they can do that. I think they can play the counter-attacking style. They can sit back deep. They can defend with a low block. And they can frustrate Madrid with that level of elite. Yeah, disciplined as well, David. Yeah, I think they can do that. If we know one thing about Arteta, it's that he likes and knows how to shut up shop. So, Ella, lovely to see you, my friend. You must be delighted with how things are going with Coventry as well. Colin said, I hope the Premier teams go all the way. Look, I'll be honest with you, when outside of the Manchester clubs, when we go out of the Champions League, yeah, I want the English side to do well in it because it benefits the league in general. And in Aston Villa and Arsenal, you'd have 2 clubs there who very much would love that celebration. And either one of them, if they get and do it and go all the way, they'll have done it the hard way. You know, there's not that side of the draw is a difficult side of the draw. So PSG, Villa, Arsenal, whoever comes through that side of the draw to make it to the final will have certainly earned the right to be there and will have done it the hard way. Jason said, Craig, what do you think of this Club World Cup thing that's starting this summer? I don't know what to make of it, mate. I read an article today to say that the referees are going to have cams on them. So we'll get to see some angles of referee decisions and why they make them and blah, blah, blah. The money involved in it is huge as well. But ultimately, it's just a really poor time to have it. You know, at the end of a season where everyone's fatigued. And it starts, 15th of June? So players might get a week off to rest before they then go over to the Club World Cup. And that could go on for a month. And then they're back in and they've pre-season. And so I would say it will definitely have a knock-on impact on Chelsea and Manchester City ahead of next season's Premier League campaign. But I'll watch it. You know, I'll probably do it on the channel here as well, to be honest with you. Because that's going to be a quiet time anyway with no live football. So we might as well cover the Club World Cup and see what it's about. And ITV and BBC have said no to showing it. Yeah, I've seen that. So far, there is no rights holder for it in the UK. What's this about CUNHA and GUEHI? So, 2 stories. Read them out for you now. 1 second. I'll start off with the Mark GUEHI one. So, The Athletic reported that Mark GUEHI's price tag is set to be lowered this summer given his contractual situation. And Football Insider went on to say that GUEHI wants to join a club like Liverpool and is not keen on a move to Newcastle. So he wants a club of the level of Liverpool who are consistently there challenging for trophies, and isn't keen on a switch to Newcastle. We know Newcastle were very much interested in Mark GUEHI last summer as well. And on Matheus Cunha, Transfer News Live and Football Insider have said Matheus Cunha's preference is to join Liverpool this summer, but he is also of interest to Arsenal and United. And we know his representative is apparently coming across for conversations with some of these interested clubs, but his ideal move, according to this piece, would be to Liverpool Football Club. And if I was in his shoes, that would be my ideal move as well. Cunha apparently wanted United only yesterday. No, it was the other way round. United had identified Cunha, is what I was reading yesterday. And look, even at that, leaving Wolves to go to United is still a step up from Wolves. You know, it's not going to get him to challenging for a Premier League anytime soon or winning a Champions League, but it's a step forward from Wolves. But again, yesterday the stories I'd seen were that United had made Liam Delap their number 1 target. But we did speak about the interest of Cunha to United as well. Jamie said, I don't think Delap is good enough for Liverpool, to be honest. Only a target forward, not much else. Well, the stats kind of don't back that up. 1 second. I'm just trying to see where I had these in. Was it this one? Yeah. So, you probably remember this yesterday, Jamie, but only Isak and Haaland have better goal conversion rates than Delap this season. Delap's at 20%, Haaland's 21%, Isak's 29%. He averages more dribbles than both Isak and Haaland. He averages 3.7 dribbles and progressive runs at 2.25 more than both of them. So, we think of him that way, but in a very, very poor Ipswich team, he's managed to, get 10 or 11 Premier League goals and put up some fairly impressive stats. But look, I'd take him as part of a package of 2 forwards, personally, but not on his own. Camavinga sent off as well. All good, Jay Muse. All good. Look, I would have initially thought of him as that kind of old-fashioned target man. As I've mentioned a few times, in that kind of Jamie Vardy role. But, he's got something about him, Delap. It'll be wherever he makes his next move to after Ipswich. It will be interesting to see quite what level he can get to. What's wrong with Madrid? A lot. Where do you start? I mean, they've a team full of divas. Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Endrick. And then we've got maybe Trenticus going over there as well. So, yeah, the white handkerchiefs will be out at the Bernabeu next week. Fully dry cleaned and ready to go. And it's over. And it finishes at the Emirates, Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. Fair play. Give Arsenal their fair dues. That is an incredible result. And it finished 2-1 in the other game. Bayern Munich 1, Inter Milan 2. So Inter take a lead to the Giuseppe Meazza. Ricole said, Craig, do you think if Arsenal win the Champions League this season, it'll be a bigger achievement than us winning the league? Yes, I do. For the reason that you've said, because it would be their first. And look, winning a European Cup, and look, they haven't done it yet, but they've put a good step forward. Especially if it's your first time. Your first time winning any huge competition is huge. So if we hadn't won a league title when we did with Kloppo, and this would have been our first, then I would have argued they're probably both equally as impressive. But the fact that this would be our second Premier League title and our 20th league title, yeah, you would say fair play. Enjoy that. Oh, look, Monkstown Glass abandoning us off to watch League Gunner. Bye, mate. Don't mind us, little Liverpool fans over here. If Trent goes to Madrid, you can't help but think he's made a massive mistake. Well, look, I was thinking that all the way through, David, to be honest. You know, that if he does make that jump over there, it would be a mistake for him, but it's his career. Heavy Metal D said Camavinga lost his head at the end of the game, kicking the ball away to get his second yellow. JWS, I mentioned what you just said earlier on as well, mate. You said, see what happens when you buy quality FSG. Wake up. Yep. You know, when you buy £100 million players, they show up in big moments and do £100 million player things. And Declan Rice there stood up tonight with 2 free kicks, doing £100 million midfielder things. So no disagreement for me, my man. But it won't be changing FSG's direction because they are just cheap. Nomad said great performance from Arsenal but appalling from Madrid. I don't know why, but I'm getting worried about the title. You shouldn't be flip-flops, and I'm going to give you some reasons to not to. We talked about this at the start of the stream earlier on. So Sky Sports put up this segment today where they were basically asking the question, will Liverpool have a wobble and will they lose the grip on the Premier League? And they put up the fixtures that are remaining. But despite all the narratives, mate, about Liverpool's wobble and form and all this, here's a couple of stats for you. In the last 10 Premier League games, Liverpool topped the form table. So they've increased their lead over Arsenal by 4 points. So in the last 10 Premier League games, Liverpool have 23 points from 30. Next best on the list is Crystal Palace with 22 points from 30. Arsenal with 19. Fulham with 18. Newcastle similarly with 18. And Man City with 17. So it's not going to happen. We've lost 2 games all season. And again, if you want to look back over history, Manchester City's league title since 18-19, they lost 4 games when they won it in 18-19. They lost 6 games when they won it in 2021. They lost 3 games when they won it in 21-22. They lost 5 games in 22-23. And they lost 3 games in 23-24. So don't let the media talk you into believing that this is a title race. It's not. It won't be. We'll win it. I'm not saying there won't be some tough games coming up. There will. But 7 games to go. We need 11. And Arsenal need to be perfect. And I've just shown you from the last 10 games that Arsenal have been far from perfect. They've taken 19 points from 30. So they've dropped 11 points from the last 10 games. And we've only dropped 7. Do you think PSG go all the way? I think the winner comes from this side of the draw. So whether that's Villa, PSG or Arsenal, I think the winner comes from that side of the draw. So can they go all the way? If they get through that side, yes, they can. Jack said, average Premier League season, second place team just beat Madrid 3-0. I know, these are all common sense things, Jack, that most rational minded people would agree with you on. But that doesn't fit the narrative that others want to try and create. And I don't think like the likes of John Aldridge coming in with his comment that, where was it? I'll read this out to you again. That Liverpool are risking becoming a laughing stock if they don't do it. Don't let this conversation about not doing it seep in. Let's just get it done. Start that with a win against West Ham, back it up with a win against Leicester. So look, Liverpool put out a fan survey, and you guys may have been part of this as well. And they were asking what the most important topics are to each set of fans. And they broke them up into different segments. So official club members, so people who don't have a season ticket or don't have the 13 credits to go to games. The most important for them, with 95%, was access to tickets for home games. That was the most important topic. Online purchase process was next with 59%, and access to tickets for finals with 55%. When you go on to members with 13 plus credits still access to home tickets was the most important topic for them, with 79% of those fans that have 13 plus official credits wanting more access to home tickets. Access to tickets for finals was second with 69%, along with online ticket process. And then when you get to official members with 1 to 3 credits, you will see that 97% again want more access to home tickets, access to online purchase tickets, and then access to tickets for finals. So overall, fans who aren't season ticket holders after that want more tickets. Shock horror. I don't know why they paid the money to conduct this. Anybody could have told them that anybody who doesn't have a season ticket or 13 plus credits just wants the chance to buy some tickets each season. So there you go. Colour me shocked. Joshua said, if Arsenal goes all the way, I can see their fans going really crazy. Well, they should. They deserve to. You know, if any club winning the European Cup, and if it's their first one, they deserve to enjoy it. You know, let's not begrudge others what we enjoy when we do it. Like, let's not resort to their level. You know, I'm sitting here tonight, multiple times I've said, congratulations to Arsenal. It's an incredible result. And they should take a lot of confidence from it. So, well done to them. Corbin, how are you, my friend? Said, what's going on with Madrid being awful recently? I don't know, mate, but again, you look at the team, you look at the divas in it, and you look at the work rate not being enough a lot of the time, and you get this. So, you know, Arsenal went there and did a job on them, or to the Emirates, did a job on them. Fair play to them. Now, I think they'll go over there and they'll get a result they need to break it through to the semi-finals. I think that's Real Madrid gone out tonight. I don't think Real Madrid have it in them to turn that 3-0 around against Arsenal, because I think Arsenal will be too defensively solid for them. And they've got something to hold on to now. So, to me, that's Arsenal in the semi-final. And fair play to them. It'd be interesting now tomorrow night. I'm going to be, I'm not streaming tomorrow night, so I'm going to be an interested viewer of the game between PSG and Aston Villa. Arjun said Inter Milan will win the Champions League. Well, let's see what happens, my man. They had a good result tonight, 2-1 against Bayern. Barca's still on that side of the draw as well, so they certainly have a good chance. Do you think the Madrid manager might have seen his arse over his tax bill? I always find it funny, Dave, that whenever any major football person gets to the end of their time in Spain, all of a sudden there seems to be a tax issue. It happens so often. Mourinho, Modric, Messi, Ronaldo, Ancelotti, and they're just the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Go over there and you get told all the time about the great tax structure, blah, 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 blah. And then when they're all leaving, all of a sudden, they're getting done for tax evasion or tax fraud. Jack said, Arsenal going deep in the Champions League only benefits us. Yeah, look, I'm not a hater. Once we go out of the competition, have at it. And we're out, so we've no interest in it. So Arsenal, Aston Villa, carrying the flag for the Premier League. And I couldn't bring myself to wish United well, and I couldn't bring myself to wish Man City well. But to Arsenal and Aston Villa, genuinely, best of luck to them. Look, I don't like the way a lot of their fans act, but two good football clubs trying to do things in the right way. I've no issues with any of them, so I wish them the best of luck. Any contract updates or just more waiting? Just more waiting. Yeah, no real updates, mate, to be honest with you. But it does, I keep saying the same thing, but at least it's been positive over the last few days on that one. What's my favourite food? Pizza. Yeah, pizza. Definitely pizza. More games for them and less rest for the Arsenal players, said Jack. Yep, absolutely. David said, I don't think it's over Two grounds you don't want to go to in the second leg is Anfield and the Bernabeu. I get that, and I agree with your sentiment. But I just think that Arsenal team are too solid to fall apart and concede 3 without creating a chance of scoring one. Honestly, I think that result tonight is Arsenal through. But they have to go there with that. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure Arteta will be straight into them, telling them, take nothing for granted, go over there and give it everything. Defend deep when need to, soak up the pressure you're going to have to. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be getting sent off. Don't be giving away dodgy free kicks, easy penalties, any of that stuff. And I think they'll get it done. But I'll be honest with you, going into it, I didn't think Arsenal were going to come through this quarter-final. But after that result tonight, they've earned the right to have that confidence. Flip-Flop said, are you confident we'll get the contracts done now? On Virgil, 100% confident. On Mo, very confident. On Trent, well, you know the situation there. We're all just hoping Trent has a massive change of heart. But so that is now confirmed, by the way, after tonight's result, that the Premier League have sealed 5 Champions League spots for next season. Dale Johnson of ESPN, and thank you, Mark, for sending this on to me, said, confirmed, the Premier League seals an extra place in next season's Champions League. The top 5 will all take part in the competition. So there we go. And again, thank you, Mark, for sending that on to me. But we now have that absolutely confirmed that there will be 5 spots in the league for the Champions League. Joshua said, Trent should be reconsidering that contract tonight. David said, well done, Arsenal. Mukrab said, Madrid did make a lot of chances, but bottle them. If someone said at the start of the season that we'd win the league with the new manager, Arsenal, Villa maybe win the Champions League, and Forest, Palace, FA Cup, Newcastle, Carabao Cup, you'd have laughed at them. I would, Mike. And I'll add in a little bit more. And that Nottingham Forest would be a Champions League position. A very healthy Champions League position. I wouldn't have believed that one bit, mate. Like, that Nottingham Forest league scenario is so impressive. Like, you looked at people predicting them to get relegated last summer, and it wasn't a bad show. Like, you're not going to look back on that and think they were idiots. It was entirely possible. But the job that Nuno and those players have done this season is truly just impressive. And they deserve their place. Barry said, hi mate, going away up to Cumbria for 10 days for some fresh air and some rest tomorrow. We'll smash the hammers at the weekend. You'll see a different animal and everybody who's worrying can relax. Catch you guys later. Well, enjoy the 10 days up in Cumbria, my man. Enjoy the rest and recuperation. And I agree with you. I think we're going to put them to the sword this weekend. And I think Conor Bradley being back in the team will make a big difference to us as well. But thank you, Barry, man, and enjoy. If it takes 200k a week to get Canale to sign an extension, get him paid. I don't think he's worth 200 grand a week. I really don't. Like, that's more than, or that's equal to what Van Dijk is on now. He's not as good as Van Dijk. And to go from 80 grand to 200 grand, I think, is too much. I think 140, 150 is a much more realistic number. JG94 said, tonight should put some consideration into Trent's mind. Jason Irish Red said, I'm one of those who thought we would struggle for top 4 this season with a new manager and one signing. No, I thought we'd get top 4. My aim was to beat last season's points tally, but I never for 1 second, Jason, thought we'd win the league. I never. Mark Bell said, what's more impressive, Forest getting top 3 or Slot winning the league in his first season? I think it depends who you ask. So I would say a lot of neutrals will probably say Forest. I'm a Liverpool fan and I'm going to say it was an equally big surprise for Arne Slot to be going to win the league in his first season. So, you know, I'll side with the Liverpool part of it, but they're both some incredibly impressive situations. Joshua said, plenty of divas and show ponies in that Madrid team. Project Lunar said 160k double. Yeah, again, that's realistic. I just don't think 10 million quid a year is the level Canade's at. Like, Van Dijk on his 200k a week has had almost a flawless career. I just don't see Canade being up there at that level yet. I would say put him on that 140, 150 bracket and then look at it in 2 years' time again, when he's in that Virgil van Dijk 27-year-old bracket, and then you give him his 200 and 220 grand a week. Problem we have now, though, is you got to hurry up and make that decision, because he's got 1 year to go at the end of this season, and if we don't get a contract extension, then you got to look to sell him. Flip-flop said Conor Bradley came on, got an assist within 5 minutes. Yep. And also just we looked so much better, and Mohamed Salah looked better when Bradley came on as well. It just gave us another... Just, if you go back to watch that assist, what I loved about that flip-flops was him signalling for the ball. I can't remember who had it over on the left-hand side, but Bradley points and makes the run into the space, demanding the ball in there, and then he makes something happen. I thought it was brilliant. Heavy Metal D said I would say 120 to 130k a week for now. Muckrab said I think we might struggle next season due to a lack of investment. Well, we haven't seen the summer pan out yet. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the most optimistic fan in the world that FSG will pony up the dough, but what can we do, my man, other than sit here and wait and see how things move? But what I would say to my fellow Liverpool fans is, don't buy into this shit this summer of giving them the benefit of the doubt all the way through the summer, thinking that it'll keep happening. If there aren't signs early doors that Liverpool are serious about this window, we should be concerned as fans and should start being vocal about it, because there is no excuse. They've had time to plan, to look, to assess the squad, to do everything they needed to do to put things in place to get moving in the summer. So if we're sitting here and we're into late June, July, and still nothing happening, and we're all, well, don't panic it. No, fuck that. Time to get uppity and start shouting at that point, because excuses aren't going to wash with Liverpool fans this summer. They've sat in their hands for long enough and not invested, and you gave us every excuse in the sun. And to be fair to fans, not really me included in this because I'm impatient, but many fans did say, right, well, Hughes is just in, Slot's assessing the squad, let's see what happens. VI Joker said Virgil van Dijk needs competition for a spot next season just to keep him on his toes, to try keep him consistent going ahead. I would love 2 centre-backs brought in this summer. I'd sell one of them. I'd sell either Gomez or Kwanzaa, in all honesty. I'm up for selling Kwanzaa if Arne doesn't trust them. And again, you're going to say, well, I wouldn't sell him, and that's fair enough. But I just have a feeling about Kwanzaa and Arne Slot, and every time he gets a chance to prove that he has faith in him, he's not doing it. And I expected, at least in the game against Fulham, that he would have went with Kwanzaa at right back in one of those two. I can understand Jones in the Merseyside derby, and Jones did a good job. But then again, just no luck. Just doesn't bring him on. Even when he's putting Gravenberch back to left-sided centre-back, it just doesn't feel to me like he trusts him, he trusts Chiesa, and he trusts Elliott. Off-White said, Craig, hope you well. Can't forget Gomez is a left centre-back and right-back, has to be worth tons of money. I agree, and really Premier League proven, has a desire to want to play regularly, and I think will be worth 40 or 50 million pound of anybody's money. David Bassett, good night to you, bro. Appreciate you. Dave said, I'm a little worried if we bring in 5-6 players that we need to bed in. We played this season with players who are used to playing with each other. Yeah, but the refresh has to be done. So the midfield's already pretty much been refreshed. We need to tinker with the midfield, but it's defence and attack now that looks like it needs some investment and younger legs. Flip-flop said in Slot's first training session they seem to love Elliott. I wonder I wonder, was it Elliott's injury? Because Arne Slot commented on that previously, that he would have had more opportunities in that period in the season, but he was injured. Because the games were coming thick and fast then. And ever since then, he hasn't really been able to force his way back into Slot's thinking for a starting berth anyway. Muckrab says exactly what I've just been saying. That I think Elliott lost favour after his injury. Yeah, I think that's right. Which is unfortunate, because every time I see Elliott come on, we look to make things happen. And he looks to make it tick, and he looks to move the ball quicker, and he looks to take up good positions. And again, I think it gives us another dimension. Right, so I'm going to summarise all of tonight's stories before we finish up. So if you're just coming in with us, I'll summarise all the stories that we went through tonight for you if you're coming in late. There won't be a late night video tonight because we're going to put out a 10 a.m. morning video instead. So let me just fly through these stories. Before I finish up again, thank you to our sponsor Surfshark. Don't forget, if you guys want to get that offer, scan the QR code on the screen. And again, if you want to come and see us on either of our 2 live shows at the Hot Water Comedy Club for the last day of the season, or for our end of season party / reunion show 3 days later, you can get your tickets to both events by scanning the QR code on the screen or using the link in the description. Right, let's get into the news. Alright, scrolling. So we started off by talking about the narrative of Liverpool wobbling and losing grip on the Premier League title, and that many of the TV companies and that seem to be trying to push this narrative. So Anfield Edition spoke about Liverpool's last 10 games and the form table in the Premier League. And Liverpool have played 10 and got 23 points. We are top of the form table for the last 10 games. Then comes Crystal Palace with 22 and Arsenal with 19. So in those last 10, we've increased the lead over Arsenal by 4 points. Then there was a story from Caught Offside that said Liverpool have already started talks to sign Jamie Gittins. Talk of a 60 to 70 million euro fee there. A piece here from Empire of the Cop said that Liverpool have set an asking price of between 40 and 45 million pound for Diogo Jota. They go on to say that Aston Villa, Wolves and Newcastle are all interested in signing the 28-year-old Portuguese forward. Then we moved on to a story about a possible replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Team Talk said that Freiburg right back Kylian Sildilia is regarded as a potential summer transfer target. They speak about a fee of about £12 million and say that Roberto De Zerbi was an admirer and tried to sign him for Marseille last summer. So once again, 22-year-old right back, name of Kylian Sildilia. Next up, Frank Leboeuf has said that basically something's wrong in the situation with Kwanzaa and Arne Slot not choosing him. He was talking on ESPN. Then we went through and talked about the referees and the assistants for the game against West Ham on Sunday at 2 p.m. The referee for the game will be Andy Madley. His assistants are going to be Scott Ledger and Matt Wilkes. Fourth official Tony Harrington. VAR John Brooks. Assistant VAR Steve Meredith. What was next? Liverpool could consider selling Jarell Quansah for as little as £17 million, say Sport Witness and Spazio Inter. Now they say that because Inter Milan in this piece have been linked with a move for Jarell Quansah, but there's no way that Liverpool would sell him at £17 million, not a chance. John Aldridge then said that if Liverpool do let their grip on this Premier League title slip, that they're risking becoming a laughing stock. And he said, I hope the players realise that. Now look, I don't think there is going to be a wobble. I think it's all been blown out of proportion, and yeah, we've had a shitty month, no denying that, but we've got 2 games in a row that we should be looking at winning now. West Ham at home. This season we've beaten them 5-0 and 5-1, and then Leicester away, who are all over the place. The Athletic have reported that Mark Gay's price tag is set to be lower this summer given his contract situation, i.e. he has 1 year to go. Also claimed that he prefers the idea of joining a club like Liverpool and is not keen on a switch to Newcastle. Then we finished with Matheus Cunha's preference is to join Liverpool this summer, according to Football Insider, but he is also of interest to Arsenal and Manchester United. But his preference or his want is to join the Reds. So we asked the question at the start of the stream, Would you sell Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez and replace them with Matheus Cunha and Liam Delap? And 77% of people said yes, they would make that swap. And I would be in that 77% as well. Sam Lewis said, honestly, Arsenal with their fully fit team are probably better than us. So, I guess there's two ways to look at that, Sam. The first question is, well, over the course of a league campaign, we've been more consistent. But the second part, and probably the more pertinent part, is why have Arsenal had their injuries? And that, to me, speaks to Arteta's overplaying his players. So some of those injuries are, in my opinion, self-inflicted. So therefore, some of those issues are self-inflicted. So I just think Arne Slot has managed the squad better throughout the season for the league campaign. Troy King 08 Edit said we're winning the league and hitting 90 points. Well, a possible 94 for us so far. I think 88, 89 personally, but again, that's a very acceptable tally to win the Premier League with. Michael said Madrid have lost 4 of their last 9 games in all comps. Jorge or George Castillo said Elliott is a super sub. He's been given a chance to start and it was a disappointment. Well, honestly, I think, and look, it's not just my opinion. Melissa already wrote about this. It seems like Arne Slot is willing to sell Elliott, and I was looking into a possible fee last night, and the thought process seems to be about 35-40 million pound would be the number. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. I won't be live tomorrow because I'm going to enjoy the Champions League games myself tomorrow. So we have a news video coming out at 10 a.m. We'll have a news video at 4, and then we'll have a news video late tomorrow night as well. So enjoy yourselves. Really do appreciate you coming in and joining me tonight. If I could ask you one quick favour before you head off, drop a like on the stream for me and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And again, thank you to everyone that joined us. Thank you to our sponsor, Surfshark. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Much love. Bye-bye.